Welcome to the playoff push for Week 27 with Simon Borg. I'm Jason Sagini. On today's show, one spot down, 7 to go. Another tie has the Bulls seeing red, and things are looking up in the Capitol. But first, let's take a look at how the playoff standings sit.
Jason, we start out west where there's no movement. It's the same three: LA, Seattle, Dallas, in that order for the top three automatic spots of the playoffs. In the east, it's Columbus now with a slight lead over Sporting Kansas City for first place, and then Philadelphia in a distant third for those top three spots. Looking at the wild card, RSL and Colorado have a firm grasp on those first two spots, and they're followed by Houston and DC. DC looking good to at least lock up one of those wild card spots.
And that takes us to this week's movers. Our first mover this week, DC United. They moved into a playoff position with a huge win over Chivas USA last week.
And what makes this win big is that they still have 2 games in hand on New York, who are now below them in the standings, and they have 4 in hand on Houston. So for DC, this is looking great for them. Don't forget, DC United, they close out their season with 3 straight home games.
DC United, though, unfortunately, is going to have to do it without Chris Pontius, who suffered a season-ending injury against Chivas USA. The next mover we're looking at, Real Salt Lake, got a huge win up in Seattle against one of their direct competitors. So Real Salt Lake moves within 3 points of second place in the Western Conference.
And what that win did is it really gave Real Salt Lake to believe they can come away with one of those top 3 automatic spots, because let's not forget, they also have 2 games in hand on third place FC Dallas. So this is a realistic goal.
All right, well, that takes us to the next topic, and that is missed opportunities. The first team missing an opportunity this week was the New York Red Bulls, a home game against the worst team in the league, Vancouver, and they need to come back and tie the game 1-1, only getting 1 point out of that.
Yeah, disappointing result for New York, and it also discombobulated their lineup for their next game because Marquez and Soli are both suspended now because of that result.
And the other team that we have to put in this category is Houston. Houston had 2 games within the past 7 days, only getting 1 point out of that.
And what's most disappointing for Dynamo fans is that their team failed to get a result against 2 direct competitors for playoff spots in the East. We're talking about the Columbus Crew and Sporting Kansas City.
All right, for our next topic, we're going to the West and looking at the San Jose Earthquakes. Are they still alive? The Earthquakes got a big win this weekend against the Chicago Fire, and now they sit 5 points back with 7 games remaining. Simon, the question is, are they still alive for a playoff berth?
They're on life support right now, Jason. Why? Because they have 3 consecutive games against direct competition for wild card spots, and those are Houston Dynamo, Portland Timbers, and the Colorado Rapids. After these 3 weeks, then we'll see if they're done.
All right, well, 5 of their last 7 games, though, will be played on the road, and that's going to make it a very difficult path for San Jose. That takes us to our final verdict. Well, this is the first week we can confirm one of the playoff teams, the LA Galaxy, the first team to clinch a spot.
And it was a little anticlimactic, Jason. No champagne bottles at the Home Depot Center for their clinching against the Colorado Rapids. They expected it. Now they have their sights firmly set on the Supporter Shield.
All right, Seattle Sounders could clinch a playoff spot this week, but they need a lot of other results to go their way. Now let's take a look at the games to watch this weekend. Looking at the top matchups this weekend, there is a huge battle in the Eastern Conference. 2 teams that have been in a funk as of late, the Columbus Crew and the Philadelphia Union, battling it out. One of these teams could get 3 points and really turn things around.
And it's pretty dramatic, Jason, the swing that can take place here. If you look at Philadelphia, for example, a win, and they're now dreaming of first place in the East. A loss, and they're right there in the muck of hopefuls for a wild card spot.
Speaking of the wild card, the New York Red Bulls trying to get back into the wild card picture after dropping out last week, and they have to go down to Pizza Hut Park to take on an FC Dallas team that's trying to hold on to the 3rd automatic spot in the Western Conference.
But make no mistake, Jason, the team in the biggest hole here, the New York Red Bulls, and it could really get dramatic if they don't come away with all 3 points at Pizza Hut Park, which is a difficult proposition for any team. What's going for them, though, Dallas doesn't have all their stars, so it gives New York some hope.
All right, I should mention 2 other games. Real Salt Lake hosting Sporting Kansas City and Seattle hosting DC United. Those teams all very much in the playoff picture. That's all we have for this week's playoff push. Enjoy the weekend of action. We'll be back next week.